And we are live. Welcome to Olivia's Stories, ladies and gentlemen. Story number 1.
It's weird trying to write this out. I know I'm going to get a lot of stick for it from most of the people who would read this because I even condemn these actions. To be honest, I wouldn't be doing this if I was instructed to by my therapist. People have read it. This isn't one of those AITA stuff because I know already that I was an arsehole. I am simply writing this to see if it could help my moving on, and as I said before, because my therapist specifically said I should. My boyfriend of 3 years left without saying a word when he found me with another man. Well, he actually was my fiancé. The event occurred just a week before our wedding, and I've been distraught ever since. I grew up a carefree young girl, a girl who did whatever it was that made her happy irregardless of who I hurt in the process. I had lost a number of friends because of this, and I never thought I'd lose the only person I've loved so dearly also. I, F22 then, met Jake, who was 26 then, at a bar on a St. Patty's Day. He was the only one not wearing green in the bar that day. He walked up to me and delivered a funny first line. "Hey, leprechaun, here's your pot of gold," he said as he opened his palm to reveal that indeed he had some pot. I was already a little bit tipsy, so I said why not if not, and joined him outside for a drag. "So, Mr. Pot of Gold, this really is good stuff, but I must ask you, why aren't you wearing green?" I said as I dragged a little and passed the blunt to him. "I don't live by the rules of society," he responded as he took another drag. We talked for hours that night, both of us high as clouds. I asked him to roll another blunt, but he quickly turned it down. Sure, he had enough pot for at least 2 more blunts, but he wasn't smoking anymore cause that day was actually the first day he smoked ever. He told me how he had always seen me at the bar on occasions, and how he had learned that I smoked. He admitted that initially put him off, but he just wanted to talk to me more than he cared that I smoked. He even added that if we were to be together, I'd have to quit down the line. I thought that was bold of him, already talking about being together at the first meeting. I didn't know if it was him or the weed talking, but I laughed when he said it. He was cute actually, had a nice jawline, was tall, and from the way his clothes were fitted to him, he was also quite fit. I thought to myself, this would be fun, as I decided to go with the flow. I don't know if it was the high also on my part, but something about him felt comforting. His deep raspy baritone voice, the way he spoke with so much pizzazz, I was almost a foot shorter than he was, so I felt like I could cozy up to him. That was how I met him. He said he was already in love with me, and it showed from the first day. It didn't take long for me to meet him where he was, for me to fall hopelessly and helplessly in love with him. He texted me immediately after he got home, which made me feel on top of the world. We went out together a lot after meeting that day. We were in what most people in my generation would call a talking stage for about 4 months. We shared everything about ourselves with each other. He taught me how to prepare his favorite meal, and I did likewise. It wasn't long before we knew every detail about one another. I still remember our first kiss. It was at a wedding we gate crashed. He was at my place and we were playing Monopoly together. He all of a sudden turned to me and said, "You know what would be so fun right now?" I asked what, and he said, "If we crashed a party." I asked what kind of party it was, and he said he'd rather not tell, but I better bring my A game. I brought it. We took a taxi to the place, not so far from where I lived, but not so close that we could walk there. The cab driver greeted us like we were a couple and asked where we were headed. I was about to say we weren't together, but he cut me off with his laughing and said, "My girlfriend is about to make someone's bride feel second best at her own wedding." The cab driver nodded in approval and drove to the address he was given. "You know we're not dating, right?" I said to Jake. "Shh," he started. "Don't worry, after the night we'll have today we definitely will be," he added, as he put his jacket around me. I lost all the words in my mouth. I wanted to ask him why he didn't say it was a wedding, if he knew who was getting married, and why he decided on crashing a party he wasn't invited to. I couldn't make up the sentences. I was really blushing hard cause of that sentence. When we arrived at the wedding, it turned out that he knew quite a lot of the people there. The way they looked at me made me feel like I wasn't supposed to be there, which was true cause neither of us should have been there. When the wedding started, I asked him the questions I wanted to ask. He told me the groom was a close friend of his, that is until they both fell in love with the same lady, the bride. He told me how one day whilst playing FIFA 14, they had talked about how to remedy the situation. Since neither of them was willing to back down, they had decided to settle it with a game. Winner got to talk to her and the other had to stay clear. He had lost the game and decided he wasn't going to stick around much. He wished his friend good luck and left what he called a love chain. According to him, the two were in love with her and she loved the two also. So that day was the first time he spoke with either of them since he lost the FIFA 14 match. I thought I was crazy how men made pacts based on games in SHI, and even crazier that they do keep to those pacts. Well, it was none of my business. Later at the reception, the three friends caught up. Jake shared a dance with the bride. I must admit, even though she was already married, I still got a little jealous seeing them dance together, because of what he had said earlier. "Is that jealousy on your face?" Jake asked as he did the slight gentlemanly bow that notioned me to have a dance with him. I took his hand and we started dancing. "I thought you said we weren't together, you have no right to be jealous, you know," he added. "What if I wanted a right to be jealous?" I said. "What? Did I just say that?" Jake really had a way of making me reveal my true desires. He smiled at me. We danced on, but now he had pulled me closer to him and I could feel his heart beating against the top of my head. He whispered sweet nothings in my ear. When the dance was coming to an end, he raised my head with his hands, looked me in the eyes, and said those three words that would make anyone feel on top of the world. Then he kissed me. For what felt like a long time, my face was red hot and I had butterflies in my stomach. After the kiss, whilst still looking me dead in the eyes, he said, "Now you have the right to be jealous." Then he laughed. Oh, what beautiful smile he had. Writing this on here is making me tear up, guys. I really don't know how I ruined such a beautiful thing in less than 4 hours. I honestly won't be writing this if I wasn't told to. It hurts to have to recall every memory we shared cause I'm being hit hard by the fact that I really it all up. I had what every woman prayed to have and I it up. I really let my stupid actions ruin it. We spent every passing day together. He was a web developer, so he did most of his job remotely, only having to show up at the office once or twice a week. One of the many things I loved about him was how he had his life in order. Most people his age were just starting up, just figuring things or just making it up as they went. Not him. He lived a near-perfect lifestyle. 2 years into our relationship, I had already quit smoking for a year. He really did call it. We had started living together and since I didn't have a job then, I was home most of the time. I normally smoked when I was bored, tired, or unhappy. I was never any of those when I was with him. So it didn't even click that I haven't smoked for a long time until he pointed it out. In and around our 2nd year, my younger sister got married. To her high school sweetheart. I was happy for her, honestly I was, but as we all know, watching your younger sibling get married before you normally tends to hit a nerve. It did hit a nerve for me, *Q sarcastic fake laugh. I went with my dear Jake to the wedding. He noticed something being off about me at the reception, stating that he knows when I'm genuinely happy and when I'm happy and also sad about something. He was persistent in getting me to talk about it, telling jokes and all. Well, it worked. I told him how happy I was that my sister was getting, and how it was good that she didn't have to get hurt by a man or get her heart broken. I told her how I knew she was a very soft and fragile girl and how I was always worried that she might have to go through being cheated on or any of such heartbreaking relationships things. I told him how it made sense that she, of all my other sisters, myself included, was the one who got the fairy tale love story. Then I went on to talk about what really bothered me. While growing up, my family always made jokes about how I'd probably be the last one to get married. It was a running theme in the house, so much so that my nickname at home is still Runaway Bride. I told him how, as we stood there dancing, I was the only single one amongst us. It wasn't something I thought he'd understand and didn't. He was always someone who didn't really care much about getting married. His words, "If I get to have that love that had made me think about getting married, I'd do it no questions asked, but I won't be mad if I don't get married." He tried for a few seconds to comfort me, and after failing to be able to, he got up and left. I thought he was done with the wedding. I wanted to follow him home, but he said no, that I should stay back. He only wanted to get the wedding gift he left in the car. When he came back, he and I went to present our gift to the newlyweds. After doing so, he went straight to the DJ and asked for a microphone. I wondered what for. He started by thanking the family for welcoming him. He praised the couple's longevity and said that he admired what they have. Then, he called me forward. I didn't even know what for, and the look on my face told that I didn't. Sorry, Ralph, I know you and your lovely wife didn't imagine that something other than your wedding would be going on today. He started, everyone laughed. Jessica, don't worry, when you play this back you'd love what's about to happen right now, but for now, let the couple share a kiss for the crowd. Kiss, kiss, kiss. The crowd joined the chant until the two had kissed. Now that the couple has kissed, I can change the topic. Now Jellybean, remember when I told you that if I get to have that love that had made me think about getting married, I'd do it no questions asked? Well, I'm grateful God brought you to me, he started. You've brightened up my world, and in the years we've known each other, we've been nothing short of inseparable. I've been wanting to do this for a few weeks now, but I think it's fate that I'm doing this today. Remember when we first kissed? It was at a wedding. So now, at another wedding, I'd like to ask you this question. Wait, is he about to do what I think he's about to do? I thought to myself, I was starting to get flustered. He got on one knee and pulled a box out of his coat pocket. Oh my gosh, he is. I couldn't contain my happiness anymore. I started vibrating like a toddler who's had a lot of sugar. My runaway bride, would you like to have the right to be jealous for the rest of our lives together? That was so cheesy of him, using the same words he said when we first kissed again. I was really happy he was asking me to marry him. I screamed yes, and jumped on him. We both fell to the ground. The crowd laughed and clapped. Before I go on, I'd like to leave advice for any woman who's planning her wedding. Don't think too much about it. The wedding itself doesn't matter, it's the marriage that matters. The rest of your life that comes after that one day is what matters. Well, planning the wedding was really stressful. This, coupled with the fact that I had just gotten a job, both messed with my head. My husband-to-be only asked for one thing, well actually two. No bachelors or bachelorettes party, and also that he wanted to wear a traditional outfit of the Igbo tribe in Nigeria called akwa on that day. Funny thing is, as I got into every single detail of the wedding planning, getting frustrated, angry always, and sometimes transferring aggression on my Jake. He was calm, helped me calm down when I was tense. He'd tell me that he didn't care about the wedding, all he wanted was me. Looking back, I don't even understand why that made me angry. When the wedding was around the corner, I decided I needed to unwind or treat myself because I was stressed the out. I decided to tell my maid of honor to throw me a bachelorette after all. Which she did happily. Explaining that to him wasn't going to be easy, so I thought I'd try to make it seem like it was his idea. I tried every single manipulating tactic I had learned on him, none worked. He always responded with the same 6 words, I only asked for 2 things. Then, a week to the bachelorettes, I decided to come clean. He was furious, really was. I didn't know why he was. I didn't see why me holding a party to cool off for myself would be a big deal, so big that he didn't even sleep at home the night I told him. I got very mad at him for not understanding why I wanted the party anyway. I was pissed at him for only seeing it as a betrayal of trust. I was really angry at him because he made me feel bad about a party meant for me to unwind. Every time I tried to apologize, he said the only apology he'd accept was me calling off the party. I didn't. Well, 2 days into the party, he called me to the room and apologized for overreacting. He said he understood why I would want the party and that I should go have fun. I finally had my way. At the party there were a lot of male strippers. My maid of honor was a real slut, no kidding she was. A few of the men were very sexy, I won't lie, but I initially only wanted this party to dance and forget the stress I had had in the last 3 months. 5 shots down the line I was tongue deep inside one of the strippers. While I was in the middle of my foolishness, I noticed a figure that looked like that of my Jake. I thought it impossible that he'd be there. I don't know what really occurred next, all I knew was that I had way too much to drink. waking up the next day with a real bad hangover. I saw a man sleeping next to me so naturally I thought it was my man. When I walked out of the room, I noticed that I didn't know this apartment. My slutty friends all shrieked at me, then they kept asking me how it was. Was he good? Did he make you come? Did you know Jake came here? Wait, hold the on. I rushed back to the room and saw that the man in the room was one of the strippers. No, did I just sleep with one of the strippers? Wait, did I hear someone say Jake came over here? I rushed out of the room and out of the apartment. I headed for my place. When I got there, the echo from me putting my key in the lock was something else. When I walked in, a note fell on me from the top of the door where it was. The note read, "Hope it was worth it." I looked up and saw my place flipping empty. The only things left were the things I bought myself. Jake had moved everything he owned in the house out. I wept. I wept. I still have the note with me. I keep it as a reminder not to up the good things I have going on. I tried to call Jake, nothing. Tried to text, nothing. I went on WhatsApp to text him there. That was when I saw it. His last status update read, "It's over guys, wedding's off." He had blocked me on all platforms and had cleared everything he had in this place. There wasn't any chance of ever seeing him again. That was 3 years ago. The lack of closure makes it harder to forget him. 3 years of therapy hasn't done its job, which was to help me move on from the hurt which I had caused myself. I had to explain to my family why I wasn't getting married again. They were all disappointed in me. I don't think I'll be able to move on from this. I know I don't even have the right to ask for anything. I really wish I could find happiness again after blowing this one. I know people don't always get a second chance, but I really need to be happy. It's been 3 years and I've been miserable. Jake, if you're seeing this, I'm sorry, I still love you.
Story number 2.
I sit on my couch, my heart pounding in my chest. I didn't think something like this would happen to me. I, male, 28 years, and have been married for 5 to my wife, female, 28 years. We got married soon after we graduated university. We met each other through mutual friends at some college party. She was smiling at me and I thought she was beautiful. We began talking and found that we shared many classes together. She asked me to save her a seat beside me in the next class and I did. We used to run into each other quite a lot. We used to hang out with our friends and in classes. After a month went like this, I decided it's time that I asked her out on a date. "You want to go out tonight?" I asked her, heart beating in my chest. "Sure, who all are coming?" she asked clueless. "Just us," I said with a smile. She smiled at me like she has been waiting for this as well. I took her to a fancy restaurant near our campus, and that's how we began dating. We were happy in our relationship. I vowed to myself to work hard to build us a future we both wanted. We soon graduated college and moved in together in a small apartment. Everything was going good. We both used to work on different jobs, but still made the time for each other whenever we could. I knew I wanted to spend my life with her, so I proposed her to marry me at the same restaurant we went to on our first date. She was teary-eyed and said yes. We got married quite young, but we thought why to wait when we are sure about each other. I knew I wanted her and she wanted me. So what could go wrong in our marriage? We navigated through life together. When we had hard days, we would hug each other and hoped that the next day would be better. We celebrated the good days with each other. We came a long way in these 5 years professionally as well as personally. We were living happily together until all of it came apart. My wife started acting differently around 3 months back. There wasn't any big difference in her behavior, but there were small things. I asked her if something was wrong and she said it was just stress from work.
Hey everyone. Unfortunately, basically everyone who is watching these videos isn't subscribed. It would mean the world to me to quickly get out of the full screen video for 3 seconds and press that subscribe button. It's free and you can unsubscribe anytime. Sorry for bothering and thank you so much if you subscribed.
I believed her and let it go. But the patterns didn't come to an end. She started leaving for work before I could wake up and would be home really late from work. We stopped having meals together. I felt like she was ignoring me for some reason. Every time I asked her, she would give me some reason or the other. We have been together for quite a long time, so I didn't think she had any reason to lie to me. One day when I came home, she was in the kitchen. I could hear her whispering. No, I'll be there," she said. When she saw me coming, she hung up the call. "Who was that?" I asked casually. She told her it was her friend from the office. They were inviting her for dinner that weekend. She used to meet her girlfriends from work at least twice a month. So it seemed plausible that she was talking to any one of them. I didn't pay much attention to it and then went back to the living room. Everything was going normal in our life. My wife was still acting differently around me. Her work was really stressing her out, I thought to myself. She got dressed in a really gorgeous dress that weekend when she was going out with her friends. She never used to put so much effort in dressing to impress others. It was one of those things I noticed in the beginning, and it stuck with her throughout our marriage life as well. This was different. I've seen taking hours to get ready when we went out on date nights, but she never did this for a casual night out like she told me she was going that day. I thought, maybe I'm overthinking over nothing, and decided to let it go. I kept waiting for her, but she didn't come back home in time. I texted her, but she didn't reply to them either. I got really worried. I called for her, but she didn't pick any of them. I was worried if something bad had happened to her. I was pacing back and forth thinking who to call. I didn't even know which restaurant they went to. Just as I was about to call a friend of hers, she called me back. I asked her where she was. She told me she's with her friend and she'll be home late. She told me not to worry and to sleep, and then hung up on me. I couldn't sleep that night because I had no idea where my wife was. I was in bed waiting for her the whole night. I heard her footsteps when the front door opened and she came to the bedroom. "You're up?" she asked me. I told her I couldn't sleep. She told me how the night ran long and they didn't even realize it. She came to bed after getting in her pajamas. "Let's sleep," she said as she snuggled by my side. I gave her a slow smile. But I still couldn't fall asleep. I had a feeling in my gut that my wife was hiding something from me. Why can't I just ask her? I thought in my head. There was a distance between us now. I didn't know what had brought it, but it was there between us. And I didn't know what to do to take it away. Just when I was engrossed in my thoughts, her phone kept getting notifications. They were all text messages. I took her phone to see who has been texting her this early in the morning. The contact wasn't saved on her phone. The text messages sent me in a spiral of confusion. All the texts were weird and didn't make any sense. That person was thanking my wife last night. What did they do last night, and why was this person telling her to meet next weekend as well? The texts were really short and vague. It was impossible for me to figure out if this person is a male or a female. I didn't want to wake up my wife, so I thought of asking her after she woke up. I didn't realize when I fell asleep. When I woke up, I heard noises coming from the kitchen. I went there to find my wife cooking for us. She gave me a smile when she saw me. I didn't know why, but something inside me stopped me from asking her who was texting her. We ate our meal in silence. The next day, when I came to my car after work, I saw a note stuck to the wiper of the car. I looked to see if there was someone who had kept it there, but I didn't see anyone there. I opened the note. It only said, "Stay safe." I didn't know what that meant. There was no name of the person who had written it or kept it there. I made my way home with a confused mind. Why would someone leave a note like that for me? I kept wondering. It cannot be a coincidence that I got a note like this after my wife started acting differently. I could have asked her, but I didn't think she was going to give me an honest answer. I saw a car leaving my house when I reached home. My wife was getting inside the house. I followed her and asked her whose car was that. She told me a friend of hers was visiting. Which friend? I asked curiously. None of her friends I know own that car. "Oh, just a colleague," she said distractedly. "Office colleague?" I followed up. Was all I got. I left her in the living room and went to my home office. I checked the CCTV camera. I saw a tall, dark-haired guy leaving the campus before I came home. So it was a male colleague visiting her, I thought silently. I didn't stop there. I replayed previous week's recordings as well. Realization drawn on me. This guy had visited my home various times in the last 3 months. Sometimes, he came to pick my wife. We never checked CCTV cameras unless there was something we were looking for specifically. My wife probably thought that I wouldn't check it. There was no way I was going to talk to my wife now. She never once told me that a man had been visiting our house when I wasn't at home. It didn't matter if he was a colleague or whatever. I deserved to know this. Now I'm going to find the truth by myself. I replayed the CCTV recordings once again. I noticed their body language. It wasn't like two colleagues who are meeting professionally. They knew each other well. I saw them hugging each other closely before he drove off. Between my wife's strange behavior, that random note, and a stranger hugging my wife like they have known each other since forever, I felt completely frustrated. I needed to find the truth before I lost my mind completely. I started keeping a close eye on my wife's actions. I woke up early so she cannot avoid me in the mornings. It was like she had started becoming a different person altogether. Her dressing sense had completely changed in the last 3 months. Earlier, her priority was to be comfortable in her clothes, but now it was like she had borrowed the closet of a model. I received another note placed on my car. This one said, "Be careful of who you trust." This only made me more confused. I didn't know anyone who would talk like this to me. My friends never pulled pranks like this. It wasn't making any sense. I saw a woman I had never seen before standing some distance to my car. I asked her if she had seen anyone putting this on my car. She shook her head no. I sighed, frustrated. I took a picture of the note like I did with the previous one and threw it in the dustbin. I decided to deal with this later. My topmost priority was to figure out what my wife has been hiding from me. When I went home after work, my wife wasn't there. I saw an envelope with my name and opened it. The contents of the mail took my breath away. My heart started beating fast. My worst nightmare had come true. Inside the envelope were pictures of my wife with that man from CCTV recordings. They were hugging each other, laughing together. There was a picture of him kissing my wife's forehead in a very romantic manner. It was clear, my wife was cheating on me. I could have confronted her that evening itself, but I wanted to catch her in the act. I didn't want to leave any chance so she could feed me some other stupid lie. I hid the envelope in my office drawer. I acted completely unaware in front of her. When one evening she told me that she is going out with her work friends, I nodded my head and went to my home office. I waited for her to leave the home and then took my car and trailed her behind. I needed to see if she's meeting her friends or that guy from the photographs. I saw her car leaving the city lights behind and then taking off-road to a very cottage-type home. What was she doing here so out of the city? Was my first thought. My thoughts got interrupted when I saw the car parked outside the cottage. It was the same car who I saw leaving my house that day. I saw her getting inside the cottage. The same guy from the CCTV recordings opened the door and they hugged each other. I saw her kissing him on cheeks and that was enough. I had run out of patience. They had left the door open and I opened it with a strong force. They got scared and pulled back from each other. My wife was shocked that it was me who opened the door. "What are you doing here?" she asked me. "Shouldn't I be asking you questions?" I replied flatly. "This is what you've been doing behind my back," I continued while pointing to both of them. She made the expression that she didn't understand what I'm saying but then started shaking her head no. "You are free to do what you want. You don't have to go behind my back. I'm out of here and your life as well." I started walking back to door when she ran and stopped me. "No, you cannot walk away from my life. Just give me 1 hour. I'll explain everything to you and then you can decide what to do, she told me with pleading eyes. You are going to explain to me why you cheated on me? I asked her, shocked by her words. Just give me a chance to explain myself, please, she continued. She went to the guy and told him that she needs to tell me the truth now. He nodded. I sat there confused, not knowing what was going to happen next. She introduced me to the guy. His name was Jack. He started working in her company a year ago. When she told me his name, I realized that I heard his name in passing. I just didn't know his face. They asked me to sit down. My wife started telling me something when suddenly the door opened. There was a woman standing there. Tears streamed down her face. I had seen her somewhere, I just didn't know where. You cheated on me, she started screaming at Jack. He was trying to calm her down. He was telling her that he didn't cheat on her. He was talking to her like he was trying to make a child understand his point. I looked at my wife for an explanation. She was watching the woman with sympathy in her eyes. I didn't know what was going on here. The woman was continuously sobbing while Jack was explaining something to her in a soothing voice. He then came to my wife and told her that he's taking that woman to her home. My wife looked hesitant by the idea, but then nodded and they left. I took a seat again on the couch and sighed. I was mentally exhausted at this point from all the drama and lies in my life. My wife took a seat beside me. She started talking and all the drama earlier seemed like a child's play when she told me the truth. The woman who entered was Sarah. She was in a long-term relationship with Jack's twin brother. Sadly, he passed away a year ago. Sarah had not been in stable condition since then. She refused to acknowledge that her boyfriend is no more. She had been in a very bad condition after her boyfriend passed away. Her friends took her to a counselor. The counselor suggested that for the time being, his twin brother, Jack, played his role and then detach her from her boyfriend. Jack was hesitant about this but did what they told him to. Their plan backfired and instead, she got more attached to him. She believed him to be her boyfriend. She wasn't recovering, so the counselor told her the truth that Jack wasn't her boyfriend. She did not believe anyone. Her boyfriend suddenly passing away has destroyed her completely. The counselors told him that maybe seeing Jack with another woman would make her realize that he was a different person. He was single and didn't want to date anyone, so he requested my wife to act to be with him. He needed someone he trusted. He was told that he needed to be with someone who was completely different than Sarah. That's why you decided to dress up completely different? I asked her. She nodded in affirmation. It was finally making sense now. I wanted to tell you, but it wasn't my secret to tell, and Jack asked for the time till Sarah finally accepted it. She said to me, I asked her why she started ignoring me. I felt guilty for not telling you the truth. I couldn't face you like that. I'm sorry, she whispered silently. Why didn't you come home that night? She knew which night I was talking about. Sarah felt unconscious and we had to rush her to the hospital. I was at the hospital all night. I told her that I received an envelope full of pictures of her with Jack. We needed to act like we were together so Sarah could finally acknowledge the truth. It was just a show for her. She told me. Who sent me this envelope? I asked. Sarah. She thought that I was cheating on you with her boyfriend. Sarah told Jack today that she has evidence of us cheating and she'll show it to you as well. I then realized that it was Sarah who I saw near my car, and I even asked her if she saw someone. I told my wife that I saw Sarah at work one day. But Sarah doesn't work, she said, also confused as to what she was doing there. I told her about the notes. I showed her a picture of the notes on my phone. My wife recognized Sarah's handwriting. She used to send Jack notes. I remember it, she said. Everything was finally making sense. Sarah was warning me because she felt that my wife is cheating on me with her boyfriend. Why did you kiss him today? I asked, remembering that moment. We thought it was Sarah who was coming. I heard footsteps before you entered, so I figured it was her. That's why we came here. This is Jack's home. He wanted her to see he was a different person with a different home, a different life. She had a habit of following Jack everywhere. That's probably how she took the pictures as well. Finally, the mystery was solved. I couldn't stop feeling bad about Sarah. Losing someone you love can do this to someone. I almost lost my mind when I thought my wife cheated on me. I just wanted to get home after that with my wife after all this drama, so I did exactly that. I went home with my wife beside me.